Hi, my name is Gary Berge, and I've just completed the 2-year Foundations 1 and 2 program through the University of Trent in Ontario and the Mehrit Centre on Self-Regulation. I'm part of the first group of graduates from this program, and I'm presenting a series of information videos on the Shanker 5 steps of self-regulation and understanding the 5 domains of stress. And I'm posting these on YouTube. Each video is about 5 minutes in length and contain 5 slides of information. Each video has a brief written description and is designed to be very practical and concise. The series is designed to be followed in video sequence to fully appreciate the self-reg process. Each video will require the viewer to create their own stress inventory and continue to add to it throughout the series. All materials for the series comes from the Mehrit Centre and the Foundations 2 course participants. Please contact the Mehrit Centre at https://selfreg.ca and for further information on these topics, or you can contact me at www.wildrosecaregivers.ca. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the series. The Science Behind Stress by Gary Berge. All 3 parts of our brain, as depicted in the diagram, was first described as the Triune Brain by Paul MacLean, a neurologist. He proposed that our skulls hold not 1 but 3 brains, each representing a distinct evolutionary stratum that is formed upon the older layer before it, like an archaeological site. The brown part of the brain, or reptilian brain, was the first to evolve during the age of reptiles, some 250 million years ago. It is responsible for our vital functions such as heart rate, breathing rate, body temperature, and balance. The limbic brain, or old mammalian brain, developed next and includes the hypothalamus, the hippocampus, and the amygdala, and is responsible for our emotions, memory, and alarm system, regulating our fight or flight response. The blue part of the brain, or new mammalian brain, was the last to evolve and represents the neocortex, or the thinking part of our brain. It has the ability to carry out executive functions such as reasoning, conscious thought, human language, and cognition. When stressed, the part of our brain representing the limbic system takes over. This is the fight, flight, or freeze reaction to stress. From a physiological perspective, the limbic system, or red brain, takes over the body's ability to think by limiting the blue brain's function in order to conserve energy and direct the additional energy to the fight or flight response. This is accomplished by releasing the hormones adrenaline and cortisol, which allows much of the body's energy in the form of glucose to be delivered to the body's peripheral muscles, heart, and lungs to enable one to choose between the fight or flight response. However, before the limbic system is activated, our human physiology will first invest in social engagement because we are a social species. This is the first line of defense for dealing with stress because it promotes feelings of calmness and security and reduces the need for a huge energy drain that their fight or flight response demands. If stress continues, the limbic system prepares the body for fight or flight. And once in a limbic response or stressed response, the amygdala or red brain takes over and puts the brakes on the prefrontal cortex, or the thinking part of the brain, responsible for logical thinking and understanding consequences. This consumes a tremendous amount of energy. But suppose that the fight or flight is not sufficient. Suppose the threat remains. The brain has just used up all of its energy in preparation for the fight or flight response. Now the brain goes back to an even more ancient strategy for dealing with threat, and that is freeze. Freeze is a parasympathetic response. When one feels cornered, when pushed to the extreme, will become unresponsive and disconnected. This state allows a person to summon up their last available energy and wait until an opportunity to escape presents itself. If none of this works, the brain has a 4th strategy, and it is called disassociation. It's a last-ditch mechanism for protecting ourselves from pain. What happens when the body is in a limbic response? Well, this is called a sympathetic response, where the sympathetic nerve stimulates the adrenal glands to release adrenaline, which quickly accesses blood sugar, giving all available energy to the skeletal muscles to execute either the fight or flight response. Adrenaline instantly increases heart rate, breathing rate, and diverts blood and energy from non-essential areas of the body, such as the digestive system, the sexual organs, kidneys, and suppresses the immune system. So what happens when you experience continued stress? Getting locked into a continuous stress cycle means that you operate from very low energy and high tension, and you are constantly in fight or flight. Extreme stress shifts the balance between the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system, where the prefrontal cortex is blocked because the amygdala, or the alarm system, and the hippocampus, the fear-based memory storage, take over. This leads to an exhausting and draining experience, and very negative emotions arise because the suppression of the prefrontal cortex creates distorted thinking. And now you see everything as a threat, and you distort the seriousness of the event. It affects how you appraise the situation, and the social dynamics change. With continued stress, the prefrontal cortex being blocked by the amygdala is affected. It affects how you appraise the situation because you lack the ability to reason. You have trouble focusing because you're so easily distracted, and your hearing is diminished because the amygdala is directing all your energy and resources to the fight or flight response. You begin to have an increased negative bias where you have very negative self-talk, always putting your sound, and you see everything as a threat. Your social dynamics change and you become antisocial and withdrawn. Your behavior can become confrontational and is often misdiagnosed as oppositional defiance instead of a stress-based reaction. You are in a perpetual state of worry and you begin to lose empathy, leading to a state of continued dysregulation because you feel like there's no way out of the state, and you'll continue spiraling downward into a state of depression. The hippocampus, which is the alarm and fear-based memory store, is kindled, allowing access to fear-based memories, leading to feelings of dread and foreboding. Continued stress drains the body of energy, leading to immune shutdown and sickness. High levels of adrenaline and cortisol leads to high blood pressure and hypertension, which eventually will lead to diabetes and digestive problems. With reduced levels of dopamine, the pleasure center of the brain is also affected, and one begins to lose interest in eating, sex, exercise, and socializing. The stress cycle is self-perpetuating, and once you create a stress cycle, it's very difficult to break out of it. Stress over time can become permanently wired, and you begin to live in a perpetual state of foreboding and dread, which is called depression. When caught in a continued stress cycle, stress from any domain can have a multiplier effect, where stress from one domain lowers your stress threshold in other domains, which can then multiply the stress effect, and you become trapped in a perpetual stress cycle. How can you get out of this state? Please watch the next video called The 5 Domains of Stress for further information.